hope you're all well. This week you've been continuing your work on the day the crayons quit. We're in our innovation week now, so the activities you've been doing will help you to innovate Grey Crayon's letter. Today's learning objective is to plan our own letter using informal language, and you can see that on my screen now. This means we'll be boxing up our ideas from yesterday's thought shower. As you can see on the screen, I've got the ideas we generated yesterday in the blue box, and next to it I've got our boxing up sheet for today. When we innovate, we take the original text and make some slight changes to it. The overall structure though has to remain the same. If you look at the thought shower, the subheadings on my thought shower are the same as the ones on the boxing sheet. And this is going to make it easier for me to transfer the information from the thought shower onto my boxing up sheet. So last week we were looking at grey crayon, and this week we've changed our object and we're going to be looking at a lunchbox. So we had to imagine what a lunchbox might say to its owner. The grey crayon was complaining to its owner after being overused. We cannot innovate that letter to have the So we can now innovate that letter to have the lunchbox complaining to its owner about not being looked after, and we're going to try and make the letter as informal as possible. So we're going to start transferring the information from the thought shower onto our box sheet. Now remember, when we box up, we need to use note form. So we can use some bullet points. So you don't need to write sentences, we're just going to use notes today. We can write up the sentences when you do your writing on Monday. Okay, so if we all have a look at the boxing up sheet now, the first part of the boxing up sheet is the recipient name. So the recipient name in the grey crayon was Duncan. So we're going to innovate that now. I'm going to use some bullet points, and I'm going to say that my character's name is Isla. So Isla. And crayon says Duncan. He says Duncan grey crayon here. So we're going to to Isla Larry Lunchbox. We'll call him Larry Lunchbox. Larry Lunchbox here. Because as we're only innovating, we don't need to change too much. Change the name and we've changed it to a lunchbox. And he says, "You're killing me." So I'm going to change that slightly, and I'm going to say something like, "Starting to get on my nerves." Okay, so Duncan the crayon says, "You're killing me," and we've innovated it and we've changed it to "starting to get on my nerves." Just change that. Okay, and that's all we need to do for the recipient name box. So for the purpose, we need to think about what the purpose of the letter is. Obviously, the purpose of the letter in the grey crayon letter was to complain to Duncan that the crayon was being overused. So we can kind of use the same idea and we'll innovate it, and we'll change it to something like I'm not happy about the way that you treat me. So maybe someone isn't looking after their lunchbox properly. So we could say something like put it in the box, writing to let you know I'm not happy with the way you are treating me. Okay, and that's what the lunchbox might say to Isla, who's the owner of the lunchbox. Okay, and so you can see how we've kept the same structure, but we've just innovated and changed what obviously the crayon might say and what the lunchbox might say, but they're both complaining about kind of been treated. So if you have a look at the inner shower now again, we're going to look at some of the problems that might the lunchbox might be complaining about. Okay, so problems could potentially be biscuit crumbs, mouldy cheese, crushed wrappers left. So I'm going to put a kind of group together as one problem, and I'll put a little bullet point there like to show you that. So you might say something like, remember this is note form as well. So you might say you keep leaving yogurt lids, comma, biscuit crumbs, what else? Mouldy cheese, maybe cheese. Just say something like and mouldy cheese inside me after lunch. Okay, so that's a big problem for the lunchbox. Keep leaving yogurt lids, crumbs, and mouldy cheese inside me after lunch. Okay, it's a big problem for them, for the lunchbox. So we've used our thought shower there, and the problems from the thought shower. Our second problem could possibly be, what have we said? Left and canteen was one of that, and we could put a bullet point as that being the second problem. And it might read something like, you're forgetting to take me back to class. Let me just see how I word that. So it might say something like, forgetting to take me to class after lunch. I might also say left in the canteen overnight. So these again are problems that the lunchbox is complaining to its owner about. Remember, Isla is the owner of the lunchbox. So we've got two problems so far. We've got the idea of him really tightly there after his lunch, and our second idea is that the lunchbox is left in the canteen at lunch and maybe then overnight as well. These are two problems that the actual lunchbox feels. I'm not going to do any more in terms of boxing up. I might just have a little look at language. So, when you yourself, you're going to have resolved, and you're going to sign off in the same way maybe as Duncan the Grey Crayon might have signed off, and just innovate that slightly as well. What I will have quickly is figures. Powerful verbs that might be used when we're talking about yogurt lids, biscuit crumbs, and things like that. If you look again at the thought shower, I came up with a few that we might be able to put in. So, for instance, regarding the yogurt, we might call it, let's bring this up. We might call it the foul smelling. And to come up with a good verb, we might use the word smeared, which means to cover. So foul smelling yogurt, smeared inside. Smeared inside. Okay, yeah. So that's what we might be saying. This might be the way how the yogurt has leaked inside. foul-smelling yogurt smeared inside. That might be about the yogurt. What else could we think about? We could look at the biscuits, maybe crumbs in there as well. Maybe some adjectives and some powerful verbs that we could use when we write our sentence. Maybe this could be bolder sized biscuit crumbs. So large, very large biscuit crumbs, bolder sized biscuit crumbs. And they might bounce around. I think we've got a bit of alliteration in there as well. Bolder sized crumbs bounce around. Yeah, so we've got two kind of phrases there that we can use when we're talking about problem one. In that particular paragraph, we can use those two phrases to describe the problems that are taking place. Now, if we do any more, some phrases, adjectives and powerful verbs that you might use when you're talking about being left in the class overnight. How might the lunchbox be feeling? If you have a look back at the thought shower over here, I've actually left unloved and alone on the jolly night. That could be something that you use when you're as well. I'm going to leave you there with that. I think I'm going to talk about really with you before I finish is that we've got obviously the boxing up sheet that's going to be with this particular video. Remember to use the boxing up and the thought shower together, because really you're just transferring your idea from your thought shower into the correct boxing up sheet. Okay, now when you use your boxing up sheet, I think you're probably going to write this up now. Okay, so this is really about you getting your boxing up done and understanding how, because we're changing a few things. We're not changing very much, but the structure stays the same. Okay, hope you're all well, and hope to see you all again soon. And I'm going to finish. Okay, see you later. Bye.